Hello, everyone. Yes, you're welcome to this live session. So, guys, there have been a lot out there. We've been waiting for the United States to rule on Atiku's issue, although Atiku has filed a fresh appeal against Tinubu's decision. He's really battling it at the US courts there to ensure he gets what he has been, asking them to give him. Atiku is not backing back at all. And there have been a lot of things happening. A lot has been happening. So the APM has gone to the Supreme Court to file its own appeal. We were even thinking that they are not interested in going to the Supreme Court. So it means that a lot of work ahead of Tinubu is really a very trying time for him. It's a challenging time. I think it's a worrisome time for him because Peter Obi is on this side, hammering on him. Atiku is in the US fighting tooth and nail to ensure he disqualifies Tinubu. And you can see that APM has come up again with their case. And like we've always said during the tribunal, that APM has a very strong point, as in, it's just one prayer that they have, but that prayer is very strong. They use technicality to trash it out at the tribunal, but they are insisting that they are going to the Supreme Court because they really need justice. And like you can see what I have on the screen there, Charlie Boy is saying that how come Tinubu is 71 when he was arrested in 1960? So it means that there is really so much to say about the sitting president of Nigeria. Don't forget, he said his gender shouldn't be released, his transcript shouldn't be released. And from what Charlie Boy is saying, possibly his age too has a question mark. So many things happening. Also, Nadeko has called him to resign. Nadeko, we all know he was or he is still a member of Nadeko. If we all know Nadeko, this is a pro-democracy group that has really fought for democracy, and Tinubu was once a part of it. Today, they are asking Tinubu that he should save Nigeria up from this embarrassment. Going out there, people are saying your president does not know his age, he doesn't know his gender, and all that is really an embarrassment to our country. So they are saying, please save Nigeria from this embarrassment. Just resign, because we can't afford to have a sitting president and then every day on the social media, the headlines on the newspapers, the websites, and all that, there must be a title that has to do with Tinubu. And most times they don't come in a good light. So there've been a lot. I'm going to allow Dr. Tell to come in to break down all these things so that we all will understand what is happening. Dr. Tell, please, over to you. Please break down this for our viewers to get this update of what is really happening in Nigeria at the moment.
Nigerians, good evening, and all lovers of Nigeria, wherever you are, I hope you're having a good time this evening. It's evening on my own side here, night though. I hope we'll have a great time today. I would like, if it is possible, for you to show me that slide, that very first slide of Charlie Boy. It's interesting. As I saw that slide, I started picking certain things out of it. Can you show me that very first slide? It says, how can Tinubu be 71 when he was arrested in 1960 in Chicago? Charlie Boy. I just did my maths and I found that, the age he quoted, the president quoted, even in his INEC file, is 1952. If that is the case, if Charlie Boy indeed insists that he was arrested in Chicago in 1960, it means that he was 8 years old when he was arrested. And that does not make sense. In fact, it is of recent that people of that, even people who are around 12, 13, can be arrested. It means he's practically a child, not even a minor. And I don't know who could have sent an 8-year-old child to go and live alone in the US. Okay, so what that means is that there is a big question mark now with respect to this age thing. I don't want to use Charlie Boy as a standard, but of course, you know that Charlie Boy is over 70 years. But he even admitted the fact that he's blessed. So let's forget about that one. All right. But this gives me reason to think about what will happen when FBI start dropping their bombshell revelations from next month. Next month is a day after tomorrow. You know that. October starts a day after tomorrow. I don't know if the first thing we're going to get from FBI, courtesy of David Hunde, will be as our independence gift. Okay? Now, why do I say that it connects with it? Because when FBI, this is known as Federal Bureau of Investigation, if FBI start releasing their file, there are important things we need to watch out for in those files. I am not saying that what Charlie Boy is saying here is confirmed or not confirmed, but it can make us to really reason. Because in the FBI file, we are going to see the numbers of arrests, what are the situations that led to the arrests. You know what, when the FBI have a file, they say they have about more than 7,000 files, but they're going to release 2,500, 500 each month for the next 5 months. So we're going to hear this person, you have their file. What was the offenses you people investigated? What do you have in the record? What was the date of such things? If indeed FBI is going to pop up and say that they have something on this person as far back as 1960, it will immediately confirm what Charlie Boy's theory here. Even if it is 1962, it means that the person is 10 years then. So it's going to be a challenge. So when did this person actually go into the US? That is what that is what the Homeland Security files will reveal. The first day the person entered the US. Did the person enter the US as a citizen, a green card holder, a visitor, asylum seeker, or what? This is the information that Homeland Security files will expose. The DEA files are going to begin to tell us everything that has to do with drugs, narcotics, the trading, the selling, the wholesale, the retail, who are the people who have been arrested and what happened. So we will move from the realm of speculation to the realm of substantive information when these files start getting dumped on our laps, courtesy of David Hunde. Because we will also see in those files, because sometimes people do not know that they will need to reduce their age. I hope we have heard about the Accountant General of the Federation, that they said that she falsified her age, okay, by about 3 years or something like that. So there is the possibility that around 1960 or around 1965, 1970, that someone who had issue with police in US or with FBI will be quoting a different age from what we are seeing today. And that's going to bring a whole lot of things, expose a whole lot of things. I was listening to Ruben Abati today, and he was saying all these things are academic exercise. It is taking us to nowhere. And I beg to differ with a man like Ruben Abati. Even if he did not get to the Supreme Court, even if he did not give us a bite from the Supreme Court, as we keep saying here, at least Nigerians would know who is leading them. Nigeria would know who is the commander-in-chief of their army, the chief of their navy, the chief of their air force, who is in charge, who is the chief executive officer of Nigeria. So we look forward to October so that we can get the very first batch to know whether David Hunde is wasting his time or whether there is something for us to mine from that metadata that is going to be dumped on our laps. So, and if that be the case, then we will begin to know where we are and what we are doing. So I think that we should really, really look forward to what David is bringing on the table, because it is going to reveal all these things. Remember the IRS, which is Internal Revenue Service. Internal Revenue Service is also like a law enforcement agency in the US. They are going to come. Is there any tax infraction? Was there any time someone did not pay tax? You know, all those kind of things. It's going to be open, and we are going to know. And it will be nice that when a man says he's credible, let his record prove him credible. I look forward to seeing a very clean slate, because the people in the accountant general's office who wrote petition to the president said in their petition letter, I don't know why we don't have their letter here. In that petition letter, they said that they're asking the president to come and intervene, being a man who is always interested in transparency. That's the word. A man who believes in transparency in everything he does, that he should investigate the accountant general and make sure that she faces the music. So you can see that our president believes in transparency. You can see that he's a transparent man who believes in transparency. And that is why, in fact, there is nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of what IRS is going to release, or what DA is going to release, or what Homeland Security or FBI. It's just that the only thing that bothers me is that why this transparency should not apply to Chicago State University. Why are they now saying that certain documents should either be withdrawn or redacted? Transparency should fly everywhere, isn't it? I'm just.
Doc, I wanted you to also speak on the lawyer that is there in the US that is going to rule on this case. You know, she
The
has
judge.
requested that the final ruling, the final judgment that was given by the tribunal, should be sent to her. So, how do you think that is going to influence her decision?
No, that was the judge who has already given his own judgment, was the person who requested it. The judge who gave his judgment, the one they appealed, he requested it. They supplied it to him before he ruled. Do you understand? Because remember, just like when you go on appeal, you don't tender new evidence. All right? So he appealed the judgment of the previous judge, and that previous judge who heard the case and gave judgment in favor of Tinubu was the person who requested it. And it was supplied to him, because they made their case then to say that that the court had already ruled that it is no longer necessary, that this information is no longer necessary. And Atiku made a case that in some circumstances, in exceptional circumstances, that the Electoral Act 2022 gave room that in exceptional circumstances that the Supreme Court can even receive new evidence. So Atiku showed them the Electoral Act that support that it is possible, and now highlighted also the fact that this particular issue was already tendered in the lower court, in the hearing court, so that what he's looking is to validate it. It's not as if it's an entirely fresh evidence coming to hit the face of the Supreme Court. No. It is already an evidence that is being contested from the lower court. Do you get it? It's already being contested. It's not as if it's a fresh evidence. So anything else?
On Nadeko, can you just tell our viewers what Nadeko is saying? Because we know they've learned their voice as a body. Nadeko has really learned its voice, you know, since INEC declared Tinubu as the president. They've always come out to say that this election wasn't credible. And up to today, they've maintained their stance. You can see them telling Tinubu to save Nigeria of the embarrassment he's bringing to us as a nation. He should just resign so that we won't be having the kind of headlines that we are having both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Yes, they reviewed David Hunde's interview, with one of the famous media
ABC,
houses in the US.
ABC,
So
ABC 13.
yeah,
Yeah.
so like we've always said that these things are going round the world. So and we can't continue this way. So for them coming out now to call out Tinubu to resign, what do you think? Can that really make any impact?
I mean, we've already said it. That's what they're asking. They are calling him to resign because they feel that all these things, even though the resignation is not the answer, if he resigns, is it Shetima that you prefer? That's it. But what they're trying to say is that with all this, if let's put it this way. The former prime minister of Britain, Boris Johnson, he resigned for what? Why? Because during COVID, everybody was supposed to be on a lockdown. And in his office, they were having more like office party. Office party in that there were drinks there. And others were locked down. And they did not lock down. The number of people that was in the room was more than the government guideline, which that government gave the guideline. That was what cost him his office. He resigned. If it were to be any other place, when certain kind of baggage is alleged, not even confirmed, the weight will be too much that you just throw in the towel and go away. But I beg to disappoint Nadeko. Whereas their point may be valid, it doesn't happen in Nigeria. Nigeria, public officer, resign. In fact, the likes of the former Minister of Finance that resigned on the issue of NYSC, she resigned because the Attorney General of the Federation advised her in his capacity as the Attorney General, you have to. That resignation was not willing. No. It was, that subtle threat of, you see, this thing is exposed, you have to go. Do you understand? But in Nigeria, who can threaten the president? In fact, if the president commits something that will make him to be impeached, someone's head will go for it instead of his head going. All right? So what I think that Nadeko should actually, the thing is, he himself used to be a member of Nadeko. You remember National Democratic Coalition? It was the pressure group that made it uncomfortable for Abacha to remain in power. They gave Abacha a trouble, and he was one of the members of the Nadeko. So it's like members trying to tell their member, hey, our reputation is at stake. I think you should call it a quit. Take a walk and save Nigeria the embarrassment, the diplomatic embarrassment, the economic embarrassment, all form of embarrassment. Because they mentioned even in their letter the impact on currency. As at the time they were writing the letter, they said a naira is almost 1,000. Naira has crossed 1,000 naira a dollar. It has crossed 1,000 naira a dollar. All right. So I think what they're trying to say is they are making an appeal to him, but unfortunately, I have to say, such appeal falls on deaf ears if it is Nigeria, in Nigeria, public officers in Nigeria. Can't you see that it's only in Nigeria that public officers, they will look very sick when they come to power. And as the problem of the country is increasing, they look robust, they look fresh. I mean, go look at President Buhari's pictures the week before he was sworn in. And look him even when he was leaving power after 8 years. The age was increasing. The problem of Nigeria is increasing. And he's looking fresher, more refreshed. Nigeria, but look at young man Obama who became president. Look at him, how young he was when he became president. Obama is just barely, 60-something years now. His whole hair is white. As white, it's almost becoming as white as snow. Because in Nigeria, leaders in Nigeria don't feel the pulse of the nation. If leaders in Nigeria feel what is going on in Nigeria, will the members of will they be living as large as they are living when the nation is groaning? Will they be doing that? So it doesn't affect them. They see it like they see Nigeria like a conquered territory, and you want someone who conquered the territory not to plunder the territory. That's what Nigerians are to them. So,
yeah, Doc, thank you very much. And for the benefit of our viewers who have just joined us, or those who subscribe to us newly, possibly they may not really know what the APM stands for and what they've been fighting in court. They were at the tribunal, so their prayer is part of what the tribunal trashed out. Now they've moved to the Supreme Court. Can you just like give us a throwback on what the APM is seeking?
APM believe that if a candidate will be substituted, that is, a candidate whose name has been submitted to INEC, like president, by the political party, like the president, like the vice president, if for any reason, either by death or by change of mind of the person in question, he or she decides to withdraw, that a new replacement will be made within 14 days window. Now, when Masari withdrew his candidacy as the running mate of the APC presidential candidate, I think that was on the 22nd of June, the APC as a political party was supposed to replace him latest 7th, being the 14th day maximum from the 22nd. But they replaced him on the 21st day, meaning that they defaulted for 7 days. And the implication is that because Shetima's nomination was submitted 7 days late, he made Tinubu's nomination to become invalid. So what it means is that Tinubu himself his whole nomination became invalidated by reason of Shetima's name submission coming late. And the appeal court trashed it. If that judgment were to be upheld, outright disqualification, even if INEC had conducted a good election, all the votes that APC garnered would have been a wasted vote. But the tribunal played again what they did by saying, simple, that it is not the fault of Shetima, that it was not intentional and it was not his fault. And then they blamed it again as internal party politics. But it is not the case. Internal party is anything that happens within the party. The moment it comes out at the INEC level, it becomes intra-party kind of situation, because you cannot have a standard for one party and set another standard for another political party. You cannot compel other political parties to submit their names at the right time and then decided to lower the standard for another political party. That is why APM is saying that it was injurious to them because they had to do everything they were supposed to do to beat the deadline, and that APC was not allowed to work within the deadline. And because 14 days is what the law specifies in the Electoral Act, and they did not do it within 14 days, they should be disqualified. So they have appealed to the Supreme Court to press their case. We are waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do, whether they will find another technical tool in their box to trash it, or whether they will give it a hearing. But it will really put the Supreme Court in a very bad light if they meander and not give a sound, justifiable judgment. If they toe the path of the appeal court, it will be a damaging to the judiciary. However, if they give judgment, all the stories is over because APC will be removed. So we see, will the Supreme Court say we would rather have the judiciary's integrity and image be tarnished in order to protect one man, or will they sacrifice that man to protect the justice institution in Nigeria? That is what is on the table. Judiciary versus executive. Which one should we protect? In fact, it's not judiciary versus executive. Judiciary versus one man. Because the integrity of the executive branch of the government is actually in question. That's why Nadeko is writing. Nadeko is saying the institution you represent, the seat you sit on, is a highly exalted office. Your person and your baggage should not tarnish it. So could the judiciary say, we don't care? Or will they say, let's save the institution of the governance, the executive branch, and at the same time also score a double by also protecting and redeeming the image of the judiciary? Latest November, we will know. It's just about 1 month now.
So you can see where we are as a country. Can you please speak about INEC as a body and the damage INEC has really caused Nigeria? Because where we are today is because of the decision of one man. I mean, the INEC chairman took the decision to take Nigerians backward, or Nigeria as a country backward instead of forward. Because had he conducted this election the way he promised Nigerians, we wouldn't have been where we are today. We wouldn't have been where we are today. And like what APM is praying the court to look into is as a result of, will I say, the nonchalancy by INEC as a body. Because INEC knows that these people, they replaced the person that was supposed to, is it placeholder, the Masare of Katsina State, who was the one that was initially there before they finally took the vice president, but the timing wasn't right. Possibly INEC knew that they came in at the wrong time, but they allowed them, they processed whatever they submitted at that time. And today the tribunal has still upheld that it wasn't wrong for them to have submitted the real vice president at the wrong time, which we all have disagreed to what the tribunal ruled. We are hoping that the Supreme Court throws more light on this and tell Nigerians what actually we should uphold. So what do you have to say about INEC and the role they've played since after the election, during the election, and even after the election? Because everything we've been discussing on this channel has to do with this election, and it's as a result of the carelessness of the INEC chairman, because he just allowed these politicians to overwhelm him and make him take decisions possibly he never planned to take.
It's not carelessness at all. INEC was not careless. INEC was deliberate and premeditated in everything they did. There was no carelessness there. When you say carelessness, you try to create room, soft landing for them, according to one of the analysts who listen to here. They were deliberate. And see, Justice Wai's report, I think it was a panel set up by Yaradua to advise us on the way forward about our electioneering. Justice Wai's report had recommended strongly that the appointment of INEC chairman should not be something that is at the fingertip of the executive. I mean, can you imagine you appointed someone who will do this thing? Even though, okay, for instance, take a look at the Chief Justice of the Federation. It's not the president that appoints. Yes, he might from the backyard influence it though, but we do know that it is the National Judicial Council that will recommend one of their own to the president. And then the president will forward that name to the Senate for screening and clearance. So to a very large extent, the Chief Justice, if he wants to be, is not really answerable to the executive. But INEC chairman is at the beck and call of the president. The president appoints him. And now, I mean, look at after Jonathan left, Jega left. The president came and appointed this Mahmoud. And this Mahmoud was the first election this Mahmoud conducted was the second term of the president. Do you think he will, President Buhari, do you think he will mess up? And you listen to Rotimi Amechi. Rotimi Amechi said that this Mahmoud was recommended to the president by Tinubu. Have you forgotten? So right from 2015, he sent him there to go and prepare the ground for him. So Mahmoud just did the bidding of the man who promoted him. He paid him back. So until, okay, the president appoints INEC. And then the Electoral Act, which was made by the National Assembly, gave INEC such enormous power. Are you seeing it now? It gave INEC such enormous power that in the eye of the law, whatever INEC did is okay. If you say it's not okay, the burden of proof is on you who say that what INEC did is not okay to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And thirdly, the evidence you will use to prove that INEC did not do their job is in the custody of INEC. By law, the law mandates them to keep it and release it to you upon request. And then you make application for INEC to release it. INEC refused to release it. And the judges will sit back and say, according to when the presidential petition was going on, remember when the judges say, what do you want us to do? You remember then? So can you see that everything was planned and orchestrated? There's nothing like a mistake. If INEC made a mistake, they could have just come and say, okay, fine. This is, do you know, if they had come and said, this is what we did, it will cost them nothing. The judges will just say, okay, INEC, you didn't do your work well. They won't put anybody in prison. Go and do it again. Is it not true? But for INEC to refuse to release documents that will show what they did, it tells you that everything was planned. They know the law. They know the power the law gave them. INEC knew the power the Lord gave them, and they exploited it to the fullest. They used it to destabilize the election. Instead of using the law to guide the election, they used it to disguise and to destroy the election. So that's my own view with respect to INEC. I can't hear you, please.
Yeah, I said, I want to bring in a file. It appears the judge has reserved ruling on this matter. You know, like you've always said, it appears somehow, we don't know if these people are really straightforward, you know. We don't know if they are, because a court gave an order and asked Chicago State University, release this information. And then another court said, don't. And, they promised us that they were going to be ruling today. This is, let me call it the breaking news now, that they've decided to reserve this judgment. And this is what Nigerians are waiting for. If you look down, you can see that they are saying that they've gotten a lot of query, because, Nigerians, they will keep, sending messages to the judge, or, attaching her in their tweets and all that, calling on her to do the need, because this case is very interest. Nigerians are very interested, as it's an important case. So this is it coming from the US. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. I don't know, Doc.
Yes, I can see it. When you hear reserved judgment, is a legalese, is a legal term to say, I have finished. I am now going to give judgment. And she said she's not going to give oral judgment. She's going to give a written judgment. So that's fine. By Monday, Tuesday, we will hear.
So what does it mean if she says she wants to give written ruling, written judgment instead of
Yeah,
oral?
she may not appear before anybody again. She will just write the thing and stamp it and put it in her docket, and everybody, all the lawyers of each party, who can collect their own and go.
Really?
Yes.
But I think she didn't give any time frame. She's like,
Yes.
yeah,
That document just started popping up now. I will read it to see if there
yes,
to see if there is.
this is new. This is new.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, we look forward to hearing what she's going to say. But I'm just wondering why she wouldn't want to do that orally. Is it that, I don't know? Doc, what do you
I,
think?
I don't know. I don't know. But all I know is that if they
The
decide to,
United States judges, it doesn't mean they are scared of these are politicians. Why would she not boldly come out and say, Mr. Man, your information should be
no,
released? You
yeah,
are
but
not a
remember,
public servant.
no,
It
no.
was on this basis that David Hundein, they dragged the FBI and other bodies like that to court,
No,
because they were saying
remember,
that Tinubu was a private citizen. But immediately he was sworn into office, they now told him that he's not a public servant. Give us his information. And they've promised that they will start releasing it from next month. So I'm just
now,
wondering why this judge, after waiting for her to give us this
no,
ruling, she's now telling us that
no,
she wouldn't want to do it
easy,
orally.
easy.
She would just write. Let's
Remember,
just
Nigerians.
believe that.
Let me use the word be calming down. Be calming down. Remember that when this appeal was first of all filed in an emergency, she didn't even invite them to the court. She called the lawyers over Zoom or
Virtually.
virtually and had hearing from them. So the flexibility is there. Let's just say it's immaterial, whether by person or by post or even via Zoom or by text message. We are waiting.
Let's just believe that
Yes.
United States cannot afford to fail Nigerians.
Mm.
They've been promoters of democracy, so they won't come and tell us that they can't really,
Mm.
give the Chicago State University that mandate to
Mm.
release this information. That's just what we are waiting for. Yeah, so guys, we are going to keep it brief tonight.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
these are some of the updates that we decided to share with you. Like you can see that Charlie Boy is making a very vital argument that if this person is saying he's 71, does it mean he was like 8 years when he was arrested in 1960? So you can imagine, was he a child? That's just the question. There are so many things. And for me, like I've always said on this channel, that it's just better they release his information. And in the next 1 year, all these things would have become the thing of the past. Nobody will be talking about them again. But if he keeps hiding it, these things will keep reoccurring. If tomorrow he says he still wants to vie again for the presidency, people will still pick up on all these things. And I tell you, even if the court allows him to stay, to retain his seat as the president, he won't be able to come for the second tenure. Because with all this controversy, if he's unable to clear them, then it will really pose a very big challenge on his part. Doc, what do you have to say?
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you 100%. Even if they find a way to clear everything, this controversy cannot, if it is not trashed to the roots, I think he will be. Politicians can be surprising. You would think that they would be responsible enough to say, let me take a walk. But in Nigeria, politicians don't take work at all. They don't take a walk at all. All right, let's call it a night. Thank you.
Doc, thank you very much for your contribution. So, guys,
Yeah.
we are going to end it at this point. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it for more people to watch. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. We appreciate your presence. See you again tomorrow. Good night and bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.